Out here, towns don't fade slowly. They can vanish in a single season until the map keeps the name and the silence keeps the rest. Empire wasn't built around a river or a harbor. It was built around one industry, one rhythm, where the factory's heartbeat set the town's time. Every porch once meant someone coming off shift, someone heading to work, someone waiting at home. When the jobs went quiet, the whole neighborhood did too. When a company town shuts down, it isn't just a plant closing. It's school mornings, paychecks, and routines cut clean, like a cord snapped tight. Gypsum dust settles like snow that never melts. It softens every edge, covering the evidence of motion until the place feels paused mid-breath. In a company town, the store isn't just a store. It's where paychecks turn into dinners, birthdays, and ordinary Saturdays until it's all empty. When the plant closed, leaving wasn't dramatic, it was practical. Boxes, keys, goodbyes in a hurry, and a road that kept going like nothing happened. A town's future sits in its classrooms. When families go, the lessons don't just end for the day. Sometimes the whole building learns what quiet means. In places like Empire, the company isn't just an employer. It's the schedule, the services, the identity painted into everything you stop noticing. Nothing here was accidental. The streets, the houses, the distance to the plant empire was planned like a tool, built to keep work flowing smoothly. A factory has spine belts, rollers, and routes that once carried raw rock into finished product. When it stops, the structure remains, like bones in sunlight. The desert doesn't rush. It just keeps arriving grain by grain until an intersection feels less like a place to meet and more like a place to pass through. Mailboxes are small, ordinary proof of a life. When they sit empty long enough, they stop being useful and start becoming memorials. Every town has landmarks that feel permanent, but permanence is a story we tell ourselves until the people are gone and only the structures stay awake. A job leaves behind more than machines. It leaves a record of mornings, hours, and effort, tiny artifacts that feel too human to abandon. At night, the desert makes everything feel ancient. The factory becomes a dark outline against the stars, like the town is already part of the past. Some places become famous after they disappear, captured in films and photos. But the real story is simpler. People lived here until the reason to stay was gone. In a company town, even the essentials are tied to the job school, clinic, services. When the payroll stops, the support system shuts down with it. This road once meant deliveries, shifts, movement proof the town was working. Now it leads to nothing but locked gates and a routine that never returns. A lived-in home has tiny movements, curtains, footsteps, voices. When only the wind remains, the house keeps moving, but no one is there to notice. Traffic is a kind of heartbeat. When it disappears, you start hearing the town itself, its empty spaces, its echoes, and the quiet between everything. This is where people once gathered meetings, dances, announcements. Now it feels like the town is holding its breath, waiting for an audience that won't return. Machines are honest. They don't pretend. When the work ends, they simply stop leaving behind weight, rust, and the memory of motion. When a place empties out, small things feel enormous. One light can look like hope, or like a reminder that the town is closed, but not forgotten. In a company town, keys can feel temporary, issued, returned, and passed along. When the town empties, the last set of keys becomes the last sentence. Ordinary details tell the truth. A laundry line means weekends, routines, and someone staying long enough to care until the wind becomes the only worker left. The factory didn't just employ the town, it loomed over it. Its shadow touched everything: schedules, paychecks, and the idea that tomorrow would look the same. Abandoned rooms collect objects that feel too personal to be trash. A photo isn't just paper, it's proof that this place once held laughter. A bus stop is made for morning's noise, backpacks, impatience. Without families, it becomes a symbol of time that never arrives. Places like this once held the town's loudest nights: cheers, squeaking shoes, pride. Now even the echo feels too large for the room. The end of a town can look like paperwork, quiet signatures, final notices, simple words that change everything. The drama happens after the page is turned. These lines were built for movement materials. In, product out, paychecks home. When the work ends, the tracks keep pointing forward, but nothing follows. A playground is supposed to move running feet, shouting, scraped knees. When it stands perfectly still, it feels like the town forgot how to be young. In towns like this, the church holds more than prayer. It holds weddings, funerals, and the moments people gather to say, "We're still here." Children leave evidence in the smallest ways. Chalk, scuffs, little drawings. The desert tries to erase it, but a few marks still refuse to disappear. From this window, the plant wasn't scenery, it was security. You could see where your next paycheck came from, and later, you could see where it ended. Dust records movement the way film records light. A single footprint can feel like a question: who came back, and what were they looking for? When the plant closed, the last paycheck didn't just pay bills. It decided futures: who could move, who had to wait, and who lost the option to stay. Mornings used to start with engines and doors and small talk. Now sunrise arrives to an audience of empty houses, like the town forgot to wake up. Numbers once meant pressure, output, safety proof the system was alive. When the needles stop, it's not just machinery ending, it's a whole order of life. A full parking lot is a town's pulse, you can see. Here, the painted lines remain waiting for cars that will never clock in again. This room once held the small human stuff jokes, lunch breaks, complaints, plans. When it's silent, you realize the town wasn't built from steel, only supported by it. When the industry leaves, visitors stop coming too. Even a motel becomes a closed chapter built for arrivals, left with nothing but departures. Maps are polite. They keep names long after the life is gone. The dot still exists, yet the place it promised has already slipped away. A company town runs on simple math. One employer, one paycheck stream, one reason to stay. When that number drops to zero, everything else follows. A porch light is meant for evenings, someone coming home. Seeing it in daylight, over an empty house, feels like a gesture left unfinished. Drawers like this once held the private details of living appointments, records, reminders. When the town empties, even paperwork feels abandoned. Fences were built to keep work organized: routes, boundaries, rules. Now the wind is the only thing moving through them, like the desert took over management. When people live somewhere, water is always moving: showers, dishes, gardens. A dry faucet tells you the basics have stopped, and the town is no longer breathing. Every town has an edge, where home becomes a way. In Empire, that edge feels sharp, like the road is already pulling the place apart. That siren once divided the day into parts: start, break, end. Now it never sounds, and time in the town feels unmeasured. Nature doesn't negotiate with abandonment. Even as homes empty out, the desert keeps blooming quietly, insisting that life continues, with or without us. This freezer once meant cold drinks, after hot shifts, small comfort, reliable routine. Now it's just a box of still air, waiting for a door that won't close. Safety is a promise towns make to the people inside them. A hydrant buried in sand feels like that promise still here, but no longer needed. Gypsum looks harmless like chalk, but it built a town, shaped lives, and when the demand changed, it left behind a landscape as white as an eraser. Empire's heartbeat was never a downtown crowd. It was one industrial rhythm. When that rhythm stopped, the town didn't just shrink, it fell quiet all at once. A calendar is a promise of future plans. When it gathers dust, the days stop feeling like steps forward and start feeling like something left behind. Books are meant to travel through hands. In a quiet town, even stories get stranded left, waiting for readers who have already moved on. A fence is a boundary for activity inside, work, outside, life. In Empire, the boundary still stands, even after the difference disappears. Streetlights are built for nights filled with people. Under a blazing noon, a streetlight feels like a tool, waiting for a job the town no longer provides. A pool is a summer promise noise, splashes, relief from heat. An empty basin in the desert feels like a promise that never made it to the season. Bulletin boards are where towns talk to themselves. Events, help wanted, lost and found. When the notices vanish, the conversation ends. This phone once meant connection calling home from work, checking in, making plans. Now it's another reminder that the town stopped answering. The desert doesn't need permission to move in. It crosses the threshold slowly, filling rooms the way water fills a boat, until the house becomes part of the landscape. A schoolyard should sound like chaos, running, laughing, arguing. Here, the only movement is sand, rehearsing the shape of absence. A menu is a list of ordinary choices. Coffee, breakfast, a quick lunch. When it's left behind, it feels like the town ran out of everyday decisions. A waiting room chair is built for patience, kids swinging legs, tired workers, worried families. When it's empty forever, it's not just a chair. It's a missing safety net. When the plant shut down, Empire wasn't destroyed by fire or flood. It was cut loose, like a boat whose rope was untied, drifting into silence. A motel key is meant to travel hands, passing it, doors opening, stories arriving. When it's left behind, it feels like the last guest never checked out. A grocery store is the town's daily heartbeat. Milk, bread, small talk in the aisle. When the shelves go bare, you realize how fast normal can disappear. The wind becomes the town's new storyteller. It writes in dust, rewrites the streets, and slowly edits the place into something closer to the desert than to a home. A light switch is a tiny act of control. On, off, home, safe. In an empty house, it's just a reminder of the last person who reached for it. A town sign is supposed to welcome you. When the town is gone, the sign becomes something else, an introduction to absence. This is where decisions became reality shifts scheduled, budgets signed, closures announced. The office looks ordinary, but it held the lever that moved the entire town. Cracks are slow but honest. They show what time does when nobody repairs, nobody returns, and the only maintenance comes from weather. Empire isn't a ghost story. It's a business story, how quickly a place can be built, and how quickly it can be left behind when the numbers change. A post office is the town's connection to the rest of the world. When it goes quiet, you feel the distance like the desert finally won. Repetition can feel comforting when life is stable. Same homes, same routines, same neighbors. After closure, repetition feels eerie, like a copy of a life that ended. A loading dock is built for constant arrivals. When it's empty, it feels like a mouth that stopped feeding the town. There's a sound you only hear when people are gone, not silence something heavier. The space itself becomes the loudest thing in the room. Sunlight is patient. It bleaches colors, breaks paint, and slowly erases the signs of care until a home looks like it's been abandoned for a lifetime. A yard is supposed to show daily life footsteps, dogs, kids running circles. Here, the only tracks are the ones the wind decides to draw. This room once watched over everything: pressure, heat, timing, output. Now it watches nothing, and the town outside feels like the system's final shutdown. Every place like this has one main direction in the end: out. The road doesn't judge, it just offers a way to leave, 1 mile at a time. In places like Empire, dust becomes visible, tiny particles turning light into something you can almost touch. It's the closest thing to motion that remains. A key turning is a simple sound, but it means someone is here. For a moment, in a town like this, even brief presence feels rare. Empire runs on desert time, now slower, wider, and indifferent. You don't rush it. You just watch the light change and let the silence speak. Empire is more than a location. It's a lesson in how fragile a town can be when it's built around one employer and how quickly life can be relocated. What remains isn't just buildings. It's the outline of routines where kids walked, where shifts began, where neighbors waved, still drawn into the streets like faint pencil. Empire is a quiet warning. When a place depends on one industry, it can disappear fast. The desert doesn't celebrate, it just keeps going.